Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 525 at scavengerlife.com.
Here we are, Sunday.
Yet again.
Exciting. So we're business owners, right?
Yeah.
We are small town, Main Street, USA business owners.
Yeah.
I really like being an owner of a business because it allows me to be eccentric.
Oh boy. Okay.
I mean, like when we just had like this eBay business here.
Right. Well, no one saw it.
Who could I be eccentric in front of except you? Like, you already know I'm kind of a weird guy. The great thing about having a coffee shop on Main Street is because I'm an owner.
Right.
I can like this week I showed up there and I don't know. I had this stereotype image in my head of like the way a business owner should be is like, you know, I would show up in like a dress shirt and like khaki pants.
Oh, right,
and,
right.
Like, you know, I'd have like a little clipboard or my laptop and I'm like making calls.
Right.
I got like a USB
like a little
earpiece.
A Bluetooth earpiece.
Doing like important meetings.
Yeah.
So instead, you know, the way I like to be is very comfortable. I show up there in my dirty old truck.
Yep, that's true.
And I bought a bunch of bags of soil because we're building like a
little garden. In the
garden behind the shop so we can grow like our own not vegetables, herbs and stuff.
Rosemary.
And so, you know, and it was hot. It was probably the worst day to do it.
Well, it's so funny because you came home, so you were doing this, and you came home and you're like, yeah, I just like brought all this like compost and mulch downstairs. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so I was sweating.
You were drenched.
Sure. And it was cool. I'm not saying I want to be unprofessional.
Right.
But because I'm the owner, I can be who I am. And that is like,
doing stuff.
I wanted to get it done. I was dirty and sweaty.
Yeah.
I went in, grabbed a cold drink, said hi to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, just like do it. I just like to be myself, you know? So it's good.
Yeah.
If someone is a person who likes to wear khaki pants and like
that's
a headset,
none of us.
Too.
That's none of us. But right. Yeah. There are times, today was one of them, where I was actually hanging out at the coffee shop on my computer doing work.
Right. And a friend of yours came and
visited
you.
I met a friend for coffee. And it was really cute. Our barista, who also is starting to help us roast. I was like, he's like, are you hanging out in the shop today? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to meet a friend for coffee. And he's like, that's so cool. You're meeting a friend for coffee in your own coffee shop. I was like, you're right. It is pretty cool. And like you said, I'm just wearing jeans and like literally a ripped up t-shirt. Yep. But everyone knows I'm the owner.
Yep.
So it doesn't really matter. I'm like, I own this place, so
That's
whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's funny. It is a funny feeling because, like you said, our eBay business is very, hidden from public. And also our Airbnb business is pretty hidden from public because no one randomly can walk in there.
It's not like front-facing business, right?
So it is a very different feeling to have this very public space that we've helped create and, you know, we help maintain and you kind of create a culture and a feeling around it, and which is what we always wanted. But it's very different than, like you said, eBay.
So about eBay, I think that the what's it called? Like the theme, for the past month or two has been our systems have fallen apart. You know?
It is the eBay apocalypse.
We have, and we fully admit that, and it's good to, admit and know what the problem is. So,
not listing.
We've talked about it. A business is only good as its ways of working. It's
right.
And so those fell apart. Where our helper left when
was it
months ago?
June? God, was it earlier? I think
it
it was
August?
Like the beginning of June.
Yeah, so like 3 months ago. Anyway,
it was a while ago,
and we had other things going on. So here we are. I found someone else to help us. And she started
on Friday.
Yep.
Just the other day.
How's that? So she's a daughter of someone we know in town?
Right. So it's all another 16-year-old, which is so crazy because I'm like, I don't even want to count how old I am.
She could be our daughter.
She's 20. Yeah. She's 25 years younger than me.
She could be
it hurts my head to say that. I'm like, oh my God. No, like it was great because first of all, she was like, I have a completely open schedule. I don't have any other job.
Yeah. Actually, this is my first job.
This is my first, right?
Yeah.
This is my first job, which in a way you're like, oh no, but in another way you're like, she has no idea what to expect, which is good because you can say. So our last helper, I was like, oh, I don't expect you to like write titles or anything. Big mistake, seriously, big mistake, because then he was just like, oh, I don't know what this is.
Yep.
An owl.
Yeah. Really?
Weird head thing.
Right.
That was actually some of
that's
literally his title. Which is fine because I told him I didn't expect it. Day one with this new helper. Oh, so her parents own a record shop. Mm. So they have vintage records. They have an eBay store. I haven't looked it up yet. And so she kind of knows that culture. Like she knows that they sell stuff and you have to write a title and like you have, whatever it's new, used, acceptable, whatever the record ones are. So she kind of understands that already. But I was like, okay, I expect you to write a title that's 80 characters. If you absolutely have no idea what this thing is, I'll try to write you a note and I'll try to figure out what it is just to give you a head start for categories, you know? Day one, hour one, her titles look almost as good as mine. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I mean, sometimes she'll use words like and with, and I'm like, no. We don't want any of that. It's 80 characters of keywords. Right. They have to be readable, human readable, but you know. So it's great because I've already set up that expectation.
So how do you explain to, you know, somebody brand new about what we do and where we get this stuff and what we're doing?
I mean, I just tell them. I mean, I'm just like, and it's so funny because I'm like, I also, because we have this coffee shop and because we're working and I've had several helpers, I used to be super self-conscious. Like, I know this is like all this weird, here's like a remote control and here's a tea set. And I just don't care anymore. I'm like, this is my store. This is the business. This is what I need you to do. Just jump in. No, she was cute.
Shy,
yeah, she's just like super shy, like 16-year-old. Which we've talked about it. We're like, oh my God, when I was 16, I wasn't that shy, but you were.
Yeah.
I think you were when you were a teenager. So you're like, very oh my
awkward,
God.
Right.
Yeah, like super awkward. So I just get past that. I'm like, this is what we're doing. This is what I need you to do.
Take charge.
And honestly, I trained her for about 45 minutes and I was like, okay, go for it. Like, I have a million things I have to go do right now. And if you have questions, text me. And she was cute. She was just like, yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, I get it. And you're like, it should be, right?
And then she has our, you know, we're on the property.
Right, I'm here.
I mean, our property.
Well, it's in in the building behind us. It's not like she's in the room with me.
And she can send you a text if she
right, and she did. Like, at one point, she was like, she asked me, is this a set or are these individual? And I just like, but, it's a little bit awkward to be like, you're in my house. I mean, you're in my office. Here's all my stuff. Like, when you sign into the eBay app, it tells you exactly how much you made in the last 90 days. Like, it's all there. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, it doesn't matter. When I was that age, I wasn't like analyzing what whatever. I was just like, okay, I'm going to do this thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, when we first started thinking about hiring somebody, especially in our area, we were very worried about, like, are we going to be teaching our competition? And now we realize, like, she's not going to be our competition or these other, you know.
Well, one of our other helpers had an Etsy store and did vintage stuff. Like, I would see stuff in her store and I'd be like, oh, I would have bought that if I had seen that. You know, I would have put that in my store. But she wasn't interested in being on our level because she had another job.
She never had more than 20 items in her store.
It was like a handful of like cute cool items, but she wanted a job with a salary, and good for her, and she got one.
Yep.
But yeah, I just think it's a very particular world. And honestly, if someone else wanted to do an eBay store, I'd be like, go for it. There's so much stuff out there, even in our little town and county. Like, go for it.
Yeah. So, talking about a system.
Yeah.
So, on our it's forum, someone who has just not recently, but kind of quit his job.
Yes.
To do eBay full time.
Right.
Like he'd been doing eBay on the side.
Yep.
And he's like, I'm going to go for it. And we see this every so often where a person like has store figured out. He's making a consistent amount of cash. And he's like, if I put all my time into it, and
I can make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a owner operator. It's like just him doing this.
Right.
And so I think he's trying to find like maybe he posed the question, should I just be like somebody that just does one thing?
Right.
I'm going to sell just this one kind of thing and just go deep into that. And we were all talking about it. And there's another guy on our it's forum, Craig, that sells baseball cards.
But he sells other things too, right, Craig? Or does he just sell baseball cards?
So that's the interesting thing. It depends on what you mean by what a niche is.
Right.
Like, to me, if you're just going to sell men's shirts, that gets really small. Because there's really only a certain amount of men's, nice shirts out there. Polos, Izods. I mean,
whatever.
like, it gets really small. And I think that can be a grind, if you're just doing that. Craig, he sells baseball cards. That is a deep niche. It's like selling
deep.
Postcards,
And postcards as well.
I love Craig because he will post these long stories about things he sells, and he knows the players, and there's different sports, and he really seems interested.
There's different sports, there's different years, there's different eras, there's different brands,
all that stuff, right? And
so what you're comparing it to is not like men's clothes of all different eras and designers and whatever. You're like, when we talk about like a grind, we're like, men's dress shirts by Ralph Lauren.
Right. Yeah.
That's like,
well, I mean, so because I guess where I'm going with this is that the thing about, we've said it before, a person could start an eBay store and make more than us or almost any of us in a month pretty quickly, because you kind of go at it full force, you put all this stuff up. The whole key is, how do you do that next month and the month after that?
Or every day.
Month after that.
Just like day after day.
And so that's the thing, is finding the thing that you want to do day in and day out. So if you want to sell a men's fancy shirts, you gotta really love men's shirts.
Well, I think also, I just want to put this out there, where we're saying we're on this side of the spectrum where we're like, we need variety, because I'll get bored and my creative mind is like, I hate this. However, I think there are people on the other side that are like, oh no, I just want to do men's blazers and men's shirts because I crank through it. I know exactly what I'm looking for when I'm sourcing it.
I guess I just don't know. I mean, maybe there are people out there that are so unemotional. Like, really, they're like a robot. Like they
could be selling anything.
They just have no joy or no pain either from the thing that they sell. Like, it's just a widget.
Thing, and now
I guess just for us,
right?
We have to have some kind of interest in what we sell and find.
It's an interest and it's a connection. Like, I feel like, there are plenty of items where I'm like, oh my god, this thing is, I don't know what it is, and then someone buys it in 1 minute, and you're like, okay. But a majority of the things that I find, and we talked about this way early on in the podcast, like years ago, it enables me to be a collector but like sell my collection every day. Like I don't have to have it in my house. Like I love porcelain and, you know, handmade pottery and stuff, but I don't want any of that. But I do want to sell it to other people,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
So that's part of the answer, right?
And that's the thing I really appreciated what Craig was saying. He said the ability to expand and change is one of the biggest keys to making an eBay store work over the long term,
right?
You know, and if you have the right processes in place, then you can sell almost anything on eBay.
Yeah,
and that's the ultimate beauty of the platform.
Well,
it's like an ad for eBay,
and
it's true. I mean, eBay is just like a big flea market.
Well, it's like I said to when I was training our new helper, I was like, okay, it doesn't matter if the object is like one thing I was selling was like a burlap coffee bag. Of course, we have a million of those now. And another object was like, you know, a metal and leather cowbell. You're like, what? These are two, but it doesn't matter because I'm like, all you're trying to do is make it so that someone who's not here gets a sense of the quality, and the size of this item. I'm like, it's the same every single time, no matter what the object is. Is it shoes? Is it a teacup? Same thing.
So that's the interesting thing, though. That's once you have the item, that's a way to post and sell it and ship it. But there's also the finding of it.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, what I'm also focusing on, too.
Right.
Like, to me, the idea of going to Goodwill every day and buying a men's shirts.
Yeah.
Even if I know that they'll sell,
like,
would just be deadly.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. It's depressing to you.
But like I was talking about was that, but if you enjoy that and you have a process, then it's all good. And what Craig said, he says that you need to have a system for everything. For scavenging, for photos, for pricing, and shipping, inventory. Without systems in place, the actual process of having the eBay store will become cumbersome.
Yep.
And it's true.
Well, you're reinventing everything every time.
Right. And that's whether that be overwhelming death piles or not finding items in your inventory or not shipping on time. You know, your systems might not ever be perfect, but as long as you don't find any of them stressful, then it's all doable.
Right.
You know?
And we find that to be true across all businesses.
Right. And then he also says, like I said, that the process needs to be fun. However you define fun.
Right.
You know? And we talk about that all the time. Because, I mean, I see that. I don't know. I remember 5 years ago or so, there were a lot of like people selling and doing videos online about selling stuff. I don't know where those people are. Maybe they just stopped making videos. But, you know, I just wonder. Right. I'm always trying to find the people that are consistent over the long term. Yeah. You know, like, are they having fun doing it? You know?
And it's not even so much that you're like every aspect is fun all the time.
No, right.
It's that you are stimulated. You are interested. I mean, there are times where I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're like, yeah, I like this, but do I really want to do it right now? No. Yep. But overall, are you like, this is cool?
Right.
Or are you like, this sucks.
Yeah.
This is a grind. I don't ever want to look at a postcard again, you know?
And I guess that's why, as long as we're willing to accept smaller amounts of sales every week, we can do what we've been doing, kind of backing away and allowing our big inventory just to kind of sell while we try and reinvigorate ourselves to get back into our eBay business.
Yeah, totally. You know? It helps to have a helper. So it's a really good conversation.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a question we have about everything all the time.
I mean,
essentially,
I feel like our podcasts are the same every week. It's just like,
did we talk about this last week?
It's just kind of an equation, and each of us have to determine what that equation is. Are you doing this just for just pure cash, as much cash as you can get, and you don't care about anything else? Is it just you're trying to have fun and just have kind of a little hobby, you know? Or are you trying to balance those two things? I don't know.
Yep.
It's all.
Well, I think that's also the question for all businesses or all work that you do too, is that you're like, you know, at what level am I committing my time to, and for what reason?
Right.
So it's the same, you know.
Would you like to hear our numbers?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. Okay. So we sold 17 items. But our gross sales were $856, including all the fees and shipping and taxes. Minus all of that stuff, our net sales in our pocket, $642.
Oh my god, it's better than 400.
Yeah, right. The good thing is this week we did have some higher dollar sales.
Yeah,
I will say we do not list clothes very often. But we still have clothes. They're some of the oldest things in our inventory. If you include hats, 9 of those 17 things were clothes.
Yeah.
Amazing,
I was shipping clothes. I mean, when I shipped just a couple of days ago, I was surprised at how many clothes I had to grab.
I mean, that's just why it's so hard to, like, you can't really say why things sell and they don't, and is eBay hiding things? I'm like, some of our oldest items are the things that sold this week. So. Yeah. And it's like you said earlier, we sold 3 antique cowbells, like a rusted cowbell for $125.
Yeah, I mean, people are into that for decor.
Wonder if somebody posted about it online or on TV.
It was weird because
Rachel Ray. Are you into cowbells now?
I don't know. She was the first name that came to mind. Yeah. I'm like, someone that everyone watches on TV. Right. I always wonder about that, where 2 of them sold to one person in Australia. I think it was Australia. And then one sold to someone else here in the States. And I'm like, why? I have like 15 other cowbells that have been sitting there for a couple months. What made them buy them? I don't know. I'm always curious. Yep. They're cool though. They're definitely neat.
Good thing is, so we shipped all that stuff after we got back from our trip.
Yep.
And I expected returns. Like, we ship all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I expected at least like 2 or 3 people to be like, it doesn't work. I don't like it.
Is that what they sound like?
It was great. Yeah. So
no returns. Knock on wood. I don't think anything broke either.
Everybody's happy.
I'm like overpacking things now because I had a couple of things break in the last couple months.
Now, we did have something break, and the post office did that thing where they were like, you have to take this to the post office.
Yeah, so I had this plate that broke, and I did an insurance claim through the post office, and what I did was I made sure they sent it back to me because I refunded their money. I paid for a return shipping label because I was like, I bet the post office is going to ask me to bring it. And I don't trust that the customer is going to... I'm just like, the customer's not going to bring it to the post office before I refund them. I'm going to have to refund them. They'll be like, I already got my money back. I'm going to throw it away. So I got a letter, an actual paper letter in the mail when they could have just emailed me, that within 20 days you need to, bring this to the post office and with all the pieces and all the packaging and the external box.
So we took it to our local post office where they know us.
You should have seen the clerk's face. She was like, "What are you giving me?" Right. I'm like, "It's a broken plate." Right. And I showed her the letter, and she wrote a note to the postmaster, and
they called you, right?
They did call me that day, and they were like, we're gonna report it, but I have to like get rid of the item. I guess they have to throw it away. I was like, fine. I don't care. Yeah. So she was like, they should mail you a check in a couple of weeks. So,
and normally if it was like a $12 item, not a big deal. But it was $75.
It was $75. So
it's worth going through all this.
So I was like, I'll just try that. I also wanted to test the process because I was like, if I give it to them, I mean, I don't think our post office would deny us. They just kind of were like, what are you handing me? Right. I'm like, I don't know, but they told me to do it.
And we ship so much through them that they're like, yeah, I mean.
Right. We ship so much through them for eBay and for the coffee business. So they know us really well. Yeah. It was funny. I was like, yeah, return that broken plate to me. She must have been like, what?
Yeah, like, why am
I want all the pieces.
Right.
What? Yeah, so that was interesting.
Okay, we don't have any calls for this week.
You guys gotta call in.
Everyone's doing fine. And how do people call us?
They call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. Or you can email us an audio file from your phone. Our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
Yeah, and I'd love to hear stories too, like people who do a niche. Like, how small of a niche are you willing to sell? You know,
right? Like, how wide? Like, you're saying postcards.
It's a huge niche.
Is huge. It can be considered artwork. It's historical. It's a document. You know, like.
Right. And some people say, well, I just sell like handkerchiefs or earrings.
I think
I want it to be, because like it makes sense. Like it wants small things that fit in like just a small box, but they can have a big store. Does that work for you? Because it seems like it's logical, but I've never actually heard of someone that has like, you know, a store that makes a lot of money if you're just selling small things like that. Maybe.
Well, also someone said, I think it was in that same thread, where someone said, you know, we're opportunists. And that's how we are too, where we're like, I'll sell a piece of furniture or an appliance that I can't ship, you know, that's local pickup. No problem. Glad to do it. Not all the time because we run out of storage. But then I'll also sell a pair of earrings. It's like whatever comes across my path.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's such like a key thing, is that, you know, being a scavenger really means we're opportunists.
Right.
Like you said, which means that we just go out into the world and whatever we can find that people overlook, that's cheap, that's what we sell. And that's the opposite of like what I always think of like a real business person would do, where they do like market research and they figure out, oh, people are really into like barbecue tools. So then they go out and buy barbecue tools because they know that's what will sell. We don't think about it that way. We're just like, what can we get cheap?
Yeah. And that seems interesting to us.
It's going to eventually sell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's worked so far.
It kind of works sometimes, you know, but that's what keeps us going. And really, you know, if we're not in it, then we don't make any money. So here we are.
Well, that's just what keeps our life interesting. Yeah. Like the fact that we can, I mean, like in 2008, we thought, if we could make a living doing this, this would be great. And it worked. Yeah. You know, it's like, what a way to make a living.
Yeah. And eBay has never gotten us rich, but it did buy our time.
Yep.
So then we can do all these other things, you know. And really, we talked about it. Like, this is the first year since 2008 where I really feel like we're good.
Yeah.
You know? Which is strange in this pandemic year. But, like, everything we've done is kind of set us up. So now we have, like, assets, and we have money, and you know, we're not rich, but I just feel like I can breathe, you know, and that's a nice feeling,
right? And that's like we say, and what I try to say all the time is like freedom of time is like being a millionaire. Honestly, I mean, I can't emphasize it enough. Like when you don't have freedom of time and you're a person that needs that, you feel it deeply.
And I will say to like our buddy online who is in our group who just quit his job to like sell online, is super dangerous, because once you get away from having that job and
you're
you start
unemployable,
having your time, and you start realizing the freedom you have, even if you are working hard for yourself, I just can't imagine going back. I could do it because you got to do what's got to be done, but it would be very difficult to go back to 5-day a week.
I don't think you could do it. Actually, I've seen you have assignments, and they, you did not do well.
Ryan's talking about our coffee business. I'm in charge of packing, and sometimes there was a couple weeks there where I felt like I was having a job and it was a nightmare.
But,
I've worked that out. I'm doing it.
No, I know. I think when we talk about unemployability.
Yeah.
It sounds like kind of quaint and not. I'm like, this is like a serious thing where your like mental capacity for BS is like
just a pickle.
You're just like, nope, not dealing with anybody else telling me what to do.
Ryan, a pickle can't ever become a cucumber again.
Exactly. That's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want to support us, this is always nice, please go to broadporchcoffee.com. Buy some of the coffees that Ryan is roasting that I am packaging.
I am roasting tomorrow morning.
Yep.
Fresh coffee. So if you get your orders in tonight.
Yep. And
they will be ready for you.
My current favorite, we have 10 different kind of coffees. My current favorite is the Cameroon.
Cameroon is such a good bean.
Yep.
It's a beautiful bean. It's very consistent roast.
And it's like very like rich and chocolatey. And
it's
I like it.
Delicious. Yep. Cameroon rocks. I love Southern Split too. I'll drink it every morning.
Cool. This podcast is ending in
3, 2, 1. Bye.